you do not go through it. This is how you know I'm defeated. This is not for me. I'm going to find what is for me. And do that again guilt-free. The brain is your tool. It is your friend, you whose brain I'm talking about.
Gratitude is a key that puts you on the journey. The moment you most want to quit is the moment your brain is growing the fastest. Most people quit anyway. Today, you will learn why and how to never fall for it again.
All right, people. Thank you for joining us again. And today we continue the series of videos where we discuss how the world works. And for this episode in particular, this conversation, we shift our focus to learning. So this episode is, in a way, at least there will be 2 or 3 parts to this discussion. And it's, yes, mastering the journey to mastery, really. So how do we learn to learn? How do we become learning geniuses? In this age where information is so readily available, and one might argue that because it's so readily available, you don't have to learn how to learn, but I would absolutely disagree with that.
Yes.
This conversation is very critical. And before we go any further, I want to make sure that we give you what is at stake. Why should you really care about this? Why does a person who is watching this, who is, I'm sure, very educated, very smart, and all the things that go with it, why should you care to conceptualize what it takes to learn and apprehend the difficulties ahead of the way and all that stuff? Why would you say it's worth it for somebody to sit down with us and learn how to learn?
It is the skill with the most upside you can have. In a world that is changing so fast, if you have the ability to learn properly and fast, you never feel in danger.
And my argument is all of us are learning constantly one way or another.
Yeah.
And most of the learning that we are subjected to, and I use that phrasing on purpose, is because it's forced on us.
Yes.
A lot of us, you have to go to school, you have to do this, you have to learn under a certain way. Most of it is either forced or passive. You know, you just learn things through life, just like a person would learn a new language. Growing up back home in the Congo, I moved from one city to another where they spoke a different language, but I never set out to actually learn it intentionally. Over the years, the things just click. Yes. So a lot of learning, I think, is left too much to chance or to outside influences. And learning how to learn for me is so critical because it makes the game a little bit more predictable along the way. And you can now learn to anticipate the pitfalls, the difficulties, the frustrations, the blind spots along the way, and coming to embrace the fact that these will come and it's inevitable, it's part of the game. And in the context of what we do here, we talked a while back, if you have to go back a few videos, we talked about the 6 human needs. And we expressed that the need for growth is one of the key needs that we have, one of the needs of the spirit, the need of the soul that we have. And growing does not happen without learning. So for all those reasons, learning how to learn is extremely, extremely critical. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to experiment with something. This brother right here, turns out, is a talented writer.
Turns out.
Very talented writer. I'm gonna read a parable that he wrote ahead of this conversation and for other purposes that he has. And it just happens to fit very well the context of what we're learning here. It'll give you more of a framework to think through the concepts that we're going to discuss. It is true that sometimes the things that we discuss end up being too abstract at times because we're talking about metaphysical concepts mostly here. And every chance that we have, every opportunity that we have to clarify the message is worth it. And we'll see this, comment, tell us if you like this, if you want to see more of this. But the title of the parable is The Boy Who Could Not See the Mountain. In a village at the edge of a great forest, there lived a healer. He was the most honored soul among men, for he alone knew the secret of the forest. Which root could cool a fever, which leaf could close a wound, where the healing spirit waited to whisper the wisdom of the seasons. Kings crossed rivers to ask his counsel, but his knowledge came with one unbreakable law. It could never be taught. Not to a son, not to a student, not on his deathbed. Whoever wished to become the next healer had to earn the wisdom the same way that he had, by making the journey. And the journey was this: 6 days walking across the burning savanna until you reached the mountain. Climb the mountain, and you would descend into a hidden valley where the great teaching spirit would pour all the secrets of the forest directly in your mind. Return, and you would be the healer and seer for a generation. Simple enough. or so it sounded. Every year, the strongest boys of the village set out, and every year they laughed as they left. 6 days of walking, a mountain? I've hunted for longer. I will be back within the moon. Their eyes were bright, their hearts were sure. They knew nothing. And because they knew nothing, they feared nothing. But then they arrived. The mountain was not what they imagined. Its face rose almost straight into the sky, sharp black stones, thorn bushes clinging to every ledge, nothing to hold, no end in sight. The boys would stand at the bottom, tilt their heads back and look up and up and up until the summit vanished into the cloud. And that looking is what destroyed them. For now they understood. Now they saw exactly how hard it truly was. And one by one, the bravest boys of the village turned around and walked 6 days home to say the same words. It cannot be done. Whoever climbs that mountain will surely die. Years passed. The old healer's hands began to shake. His eyes grew dim, and the village grew afraid, for when he died, the wisdom of the forest would die with him. Now, in that village, there was a boy, small, weak, and blind from birth. Every year, he asked to make the journey, and every year they refused him. You cannot even see the path. But in the final year, when there was no one left to send, the elders shrugged in despair. Let him go. What is left to lose? The boy walked 6 days across the savannah, feeling his way with a stick, and when he reached the foot of the mountain, something remarkable happened. Nothing. He did not gasp, he did not despair, he did not turn back, because the mountain's great weapon, the terrible sight of it, the whole impossible climb, seen all at once, was a weapon that could not touch him. He could not see the mountain. He could only feel the first stone under his hand. So he took hold of it and climbed. He was caught by the rocks, torn by the thorns. He crawled where others would have walked, bled where others would have wept. But he only ever faced one thing at a time. This stone, this sledge, this thorn. And somewhere in that long suffering, he heard a small voice beneath his palm. You know, said a thorn bush, you could simply ask us to move. The boy froze. You speak? Of course we speak, but only to those who stay long enough to listen. The others leave before they ever hear us. So the boy asked, and the thorns drew back and opened a path, and he climbed on, wondering what else in this mountain had a voice. He did not wonder long. Hours later, dragging himself across a slope of jagged stone, his hands raw and his knees bleeding, he pressed his ear against the rock and asked, and you, great ground beneath me, do you also speak? For a long moment there was silence. Then the mountain rumbled softly under his chest. We speak, said the ground, though it has been many years since anyone asked. Then tell me, said the boy, why are you so steep? Why so sharp and cruel? Why do you tear at everyone who tries to climb you? And the ground answered with an old, old sorrow. We were not always this way. There was a time when we carried travelers gladly, when our slopes were gentle and our stones lay flat as steps. But generation after generation stepped on us without a word. No greeting, no gratitude, no respect. They treated us as a thing to be conquered, not a host to be honored. And so we withdrew our kindness. We made ourselves steep and sharp and hard, and we decided we would carry no one who did not first learn to ask. The boy lay still on the rock, and something changed inside him. For the first time, he did not feel that he was fighting a mountain. He felt that he was a guest upon it, a guest who had been crawling across the body of his host without ever saying a word of thanks. So he pressed his palms against the stone, bowed his head, and spoke with all the reverence in his heart. O great host, forgive me, for I too have climbed you without greeting. Thank you for bearing me this far. Would you aid me on my journey? And the ground answered, and there was warmth in its voice. Gladly, young one. For one such as you, who has endured and listened and learned the wisdom of the mountain, we are honored to oblige. And beneath his hand, the boy felt the rock begin to move. The jagged stones turned themselves flat. The steep face folded itself into steps, and the mountain that had broken the strongest boys of the village carried the weakest one to its summit. He descended into the valley, and the great teaching spirit poured into his mind all the secrets of the forest, every root, every leaf, every season's whisper. But the spirit was not finished. You came to receive wisdom, said the spirit, but you have brought something with you that the others never did. You have watered this mountain with your blood, and honored it with your gratitude, and the mountain wishes to give you a gift in return. Then the spirit took soil from the very slopes where the boy had bled and mixed it with the living water that gushed from the belly of the mountain, and made a mud from it and placed it gently upon the boy's eyes. At once, a great burning seized him, a sting like fire behind his eyelids. The boy gasped. He did not tear the mud away, for by now he had acquired the wisdom of this mountain. When something causes you to pain, do not fight it, speak to it. So through gritted teeth he said, "O great healing mud, would you spare your sting?" And the mud answered, "Patience, young one. The work of restoration will sometimes sting, but the price is worth paying." So the boy endured, he breathed, he waited, and slowly, the burning faded into stillness. Then the Great Spirit cupped the living water in its hands and washed the boy's face. And on that day, for the first time since the day he was born, light entered his eyes. The blind boy could see. The first thing he ever saw was the mountain itself, vast, terrible, and beautiful, its summit crowned in cloud. And he laughed and he wept because he understood. If he had seen it all at once, at the beginning, he might never have climbed it at all. He returned to his village, the weak, blind boy with seeing eyes and the wisdom of the forest, and he became its healer and seer for a generation. Years later, when young ones asked him the secret of the mountain, he would smile and say, "The mountain defeats you through your eyes. It shows you the whole climb at once, and your courage dies. I was spared because I could not see how impossible it was. I only ever had to climb the stone in front of me." And hear this, the wisdom is not waiting for you at the top. The wisdom is the climb. Every cut taught me to listen. Every hardship taught me to ask. The struggle is not the price of the treasure. The struggle is the treasure. So do not look at the whole mountain. Greet the ground beneath you. Take the next step. Then ask for the one after that. The mountain carries those who honor it. That is indeed the end of the tale. That is indeed it. So we're gonna, as I said before, we're gonna get into the topic and refer back to this tale because it contains a whole lot of wisdom, a whole lot of practical understanding, visual understanding of the concepts we're gonna talk about. Today, in this first installment of Learning Genius and how to become a learning genius, we're gonna give you a framework that is really simple, that encompasses the stages of learning, where you start and where you end, right? And let's start with the first step. The first step is the step of unconscious incompetence.
It's sweet stuff.
Unconscious incompetence, where you don't even know what you don't know.
You have no clue.
What say you to that? What say you to that? What does that look like in the framework of our story, in the life of the people?
You know, it is really that beautiful stage in which we've all been. You know, big eyes, bushy-tailed kind of situation, in which you look at something and you tell yourself, "Oh my God, I can do that. Surely this is funner and easier to do than what I'm doing right now." And a lot of people who try to do entrepreneurship find themselves in that situation in an early in their journey. You start doing something and then you're like, this is too complicated, too complex. And then you see a publicity, an ad. Say you put it on Facebook, easy. Just post it and add an ad.
And make a lot of money.
And make a lot of money. You're like, what? I have a lot of products here. I can just post something and put an ads on because you don't know the reality. So it's that place where we have confidence because we are still stupid, basically. We don't know yet.
You don't know enough to be afraid, yeah?
You know, and that is the first stage of learning. And I used to look down on it and then realize it plays an important role because it is the stage that puts you on the journey. There is a lot of people who never have the courage, the interest, the excitement to even take on that stage. Like, for example, in the story that I wrote, that village is not every young man that went. There is a subcategory of young men who was already building themselves. They already were hunters. They saw themselves a certain way. So to even participate in this first stage, even though it is it's going to deceive you. Of deciding, you know what, I can do this, actually. I can go through the savannah, spend my 6 days under the sun, a mountain.
And it sounds easy.
Sounds easy. You know, I've been hunting for longer than that.
Yes.
And I carried we went and hunted elephants. We carried them back to the village. It was double the days. surely we can go and claim this honor. So now the honor and they're committing with each other, running faster. Who's gonna get the mountain first? Because they believe that it's easy, and the fittest of them all, you know, gets excited and is leading the charge. They're trying to chase him. They're telling themselves, you know what? If it's not him, it's gonna be him. You know, they're thinking, surely I can do this restaurant business. I can cook in my kitchen. People love my food. You know, I can do this restaurant thing. You know, that is the stage. And it's not a stage to be neglected, to be ashamed of. It's actually a stage that many people don't ever engage in. People that are not confident, people that are living in shame and fear in their house, not willing to take a step. You know, so if you're gonna start learning, you need to embrace this first step. It is useful.
I wonder if, would you say that having, because at this stage you don't know what you don't know. Basically, this is you're starting something new. You could be picking up a piano and learning how it works. You've seen Ludovico Einaudi on TV
And
just
you're like,
playing with his eyes closed. You're like, this
That's
cannot be all that hard. I'm inspired. This moves me.
you're
I
out
would
of your
love to get
mind.
to learn this.
Yes.
What do you think is, you know how if you have a car, you're going on a long journey, the most amount of fuel, the higher the amount of fuel that you have, the longer you can go on the journey.
Yeah.
Do you think motivation is that here? Or is this something more? Is it inspiration? Is it motivation? Is it feeling that it's a calling? Is that
Okay. Yeah, I think this is different than that. Like, inspiration is something different.
Yes.
You know, because this is the kind of energy that does not guarantee you'll survive this challenge.
At all. It
You
just
know?
gives you a chance to
It's just
take
giving
the
you
first step.
energy that will start to give you the first step and put you on the journey.
Yes.
An opportunity to put your character under stress and your character under fire to see what you're made of. You know, many people don't have that. It's the basics. I will not call it inspiration because the great majority of human beings soon, when they reach the second stage, do what the young villagers did.
Indeed.
The crushing majority of them. And I believe that's the biggest error they can do. But this is, I won't call it inspiration because inspiration usually carries you through the second stage. This, to me, is just that little fire. A gift from the gods to just push you, give you a kick into the right direction, to start the journey. A call to adventure, yes, that's what they call it. So it's just a call to adventure.
I
It
see.
is useful, but some ignore it and some take it.
I think for the first two stages, we haven't even discussed the second stage yet, but it's coming here after what I'm going to say, that every human being, for the most part, I guess the vast majority of us, some are handicapped in a way that it makes things a little bit complicated, but the vast majority of human beings get to go through stage 1 and 2. I'm not sure about 3 and 4, but I think at least stage 1, all of us at some point, even since a very early age.
Yes.
You know. Anyway, so this is a good segue for the second stage. The first stage is unconscious incompetence. You don't even know what you don't know. You don't even know how incompetent you are.
Yes.
And then you move from that stage, you know, filled with motivation, filled with excitement, with energy, into the second stage where it becomes conscious incompetence. Now you know what you don't know. The boys make it to the mountain. They look up at the mountain. This thing is terrifying. This thing is huge. It's insurmountable, seemingly at least, because the task ahead, you get your first glimpse of how hard it is. And you even wonder, has anybody really ever even done this?
Yes.
Maybe they were just lucky, or maybe they just got handed, you know, the key to whatever it is that they had. This is impossible. So, what say you to that?
You know, it's exactly that. You know, when you're learning, you have the excitement to take you to the journey. So you climb the journey, and then, like the young man from the village, the strong one, fighting for the mountain, and there is a specific action that is out of the ordinary that kind of shakes you. So in the story, for example, when they get there, they are trying to look at the top of the mountain.
Yes.
And it requires that they tilt their head back up.
You can't even see it.
And they can't see it. So often this stage is triggered by a step, an action that just tells you, whoa, this is not what I thought it was. I've looked at many mountains before. I've been able to see the top. I haven't had to tilt my head up just to look at the mountain, you know. So that first steps when you're starting to, we've done a lot of things in our way here, to eventually get the lesson. Like for example, if a young person say, these people, what are they doing? They're just recording on YouTube and it's just let's say reacting to something. I mean, that's crazy. Anybody can do that. I can do that. And then you learn that, oh, you know what? You need to understand how light works. So the video looks good. You understand the settings.
Overwhelming business.
And then all of a sudden, okay, what is light? Okay, what kind of light? Oh, oopsie. The cameras. You need to understand resolution. Have you heard of something called editing? Because you're going to cut these things. I was like, oh, whoa. Okay, how do they have that little video on the corner to see, never mind, that's the overlay. You have to figure this out. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, there is more to this. And a sweet question comes. Am I willing to go through this? Is it really worth it? Do I want this that
Is it even
badly?
meant for me? Maybe it's just not
Maybe
meant
it's not,
for me.
it's not meant for me.
Yeah.
And it's that initial challenge. That moment, I think, is the most critical moment in any young soul's life. When you have to decide, do I go back to the village with stories and excuses to make me look back and confirmations that nobody can do this without dying? Or do I start the journey out? Do I make that step? And unfortunately, the vast majority of people break down.
And for better or for worse, for whatever reason, the
Yeah.
brain being what it is, we have this bias. We think that the brain is an objective entity. Like it reads things for what they are. But that's not true at all. The brain is your tool. It is your friend, you whose brain I'm talking about. The brain will make sure that your emotional state and what you see, they match. So if you're faced for the first time with how vast the task is, and all of a sudden you succumb to the fear, you succumb to the pressure, you succumb to the overwhelm, your brain will find a way to justify you quitting. Yes.
Beautiful reasons.
Yes, he'll find beautiful reasons. And
you quit guilt-free.
Yes. You'll feel good about it. You're like, you know what? This is not really what I'm meant to do anyway. Why? I'm not a climber. I don't climb mountains. I don't play the piano. I've never seen anybody do that in my family.
But nobody in my family is a musician.
Yes. It's not meant for me. I know something that is meant for me is waiting around the corner until you go around that same corner and you have to go through these same steps.
Yes.
And then it never ends. So that is that second step. Unfortunately, as we said, the vast majority of people quit here.
Yes.
You do not go through that first barrier, big barrier, very big barrier. You do not go through it. You just decide, I'm defeated. This is not for me. I'm going to find what is for me and do that again guilt-free. But for those who are not deterred by this, and maybe this is where you said inspiration to you, this is where inspiration plays a role because you're like, well, you know what? This is worth it. There's nothing else I would rather do because this right here is aligned with who I am, with my calling, with what I'm meant to do.
I have no choice.
Yes.
I will not be fully actualized if I do not take this journey.
Because, you may be one of those guys who has this perspective of thinking, I know other people. I don't know them personally, but I know an Elon Musk, I know a Jeff Bezos, I know this person or that person, I know my parents. They've gone through this or something like this. Maybe I can as well. So maybe you're one of those guys. And then if that is you, because you feel like this is something that you're meant to do, and then you decide, I'm going to move on. I'm going to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. If I'm going to quit, let me quit tomorrow. I will not quit today.
Yes.
Right? And then you move on to that third stage. After quite a bit of wrestling, quite a bit of determination to continue pushing forward. We had conscious incompetent. Now we have conscious competence. Yes. Now, conscious competence, this one is earned. This one is earned over quite a bit of time. Now you are consciously aware of the things that you can do.
Yes.
You know that, you know what, if you give me enough time to practice, right? If I sit down with my piano, I will have practiced long enough that I can repeat something.
Yes.
And perform in front of people.
Yes.
But this is also a dangerous stage because at this phase, you do have to think about what you're doing.
Yes.
You're still vulnerable to fear here, and fear is one of those things that cripples your ability to think. That's why somebody might get on stage, you have a a recital or something. You're in charge of the piano and you freeze. Because that fear, that anxiety has overtaken you. But in the context of our story, where would you put this stage?
even before getting this stage, I had a specific person in mind who was watching this story,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about our people. There is a few of you out there who believe that they don't get the same opportunities, they don't get the call to adventure, you know, and they seemingly are blockades. They even have to fight to get to go to this journey, you know. And I wanted you guys to know that the waiting, in a way, is also a building. It's building you up because if you have to fight so hard for an opportunity, it's much harder to give up at the base of the mountain. You push through. You push through faster. So I wanted them to know that to take this as a gift as well in that situation as a gift, because I didn't want to say that opportunity comes to everybody. That's not true. We don't have the same opportunity at the same level just by the basis of where we were born. You know, and there are people that might be listening to us and say, you call to adventure, I can't even go to the savannah. The savannah I want to go to, I have no opportunity to go there. I'm telling you, just wait. Eventually, the village is going to get desperate. You're going to get your chance. You know, and unlike the other boys, there is something that's been brewing in you over the years as the opportunity was not there that will now carry you further. And there's a problem, you know, in that position, you know, our boy is blind. He's a blind boy, and because of that, he has been restricted for many years with the opportunity to go. You know, so because of that, a few things happened. His body matured first, physically, even though he was weak and sickly. And also, the journey was not fun for him. The first 6 days of walk, he was a blind boy with a stick in the heat. So he's already enduring pain before even he got to the mountain.
And man encountered, familiar with pain, yeah?
Yes. So this moment of constriction is helpful for you. You know, just have hope and know that when your time to go comes, you're gonna dominate. You're gonna be willing to suffer the way others are not gonna be willing to suffer. You know. Now the question is, how do you gain in our story where the conscience, the conscience competence comes in? Is really after suffering. Conscious competence is not free. It's one of those things that you have to earn. So, and it requires courage and requires action. So the young fella comes there, he has a very important advantage. Like we said at the end of the story, he realizes one of the disadvantages, the things that has labeled him his entire life as useless, is actually being the power weapon to help him to climb the mountain.
Yeah.
So he reached there, he cannot see. But all his life, what did he do? He always felt. And then when he was in the mountain, walking in the bushes, he would feel and touch a thorn bush. It would sting him. And then it would move away. So the touching and being stung was not new to him. You know, that was not the experience of the other boys. They've always seen everything and avoided it. They don't know the sting of thorns. They don't know the cut of sharp stones. He's blind. That has been his life. So that's the reason why he was able to be stung for a little while on the mountain and suffer and bleed, because the condition of his life is preparing for this moment. You know, and this is a representation of when we are doing the things, the gates for us, the doors, the things that we're meant to do, a higher power, God in my case, has always put us in situations where we've learned something to prepare us for the moment. So basically what I'm saying, not everything is worth learning for you. There are things that you shouldn't be trying to learn because they're not for you. But the things that are for you, there are some things in you that have been put over the years to prepare you for it, in a way. You know, so this boy now is earning his competence. How? By calling into Thorns. Like you're trying something. You do this business and you're trying this and you're being disappointed. Somebody is stolen from you. Now you learn I need to make contracts. Somebody has done it for you. Now you learn, oh, no. I need to have a strong refund policy as I'm building this. And these are slaps that hurt deeply. Setback that can break your spirit. But then eventually the thorns will inevitably speak to you and say, bro, do you know we can just move if you ask us to? And then it's not mistake that you have to use your words to speak something, to create something. By now, if you watch this, you know why I'm using that similarity. So now, the terrain in which you work itself start helping you, conspiring for you. Why? Because you pay the price, you know. And this consciousness, competence, is shown later in the story at the stage where the brother has mud on his face and it's stinging. But he knows not to just grab it and remove it. He's learned now that when this thing is biting me now, I must not speak to it. Now he knows what to do. Eventually, even you and I, we're no longer rattled by small things. You know?
Life shall happen.
We just know that love will happen. Some things will go wrong at some point. It doesn't shake us into running away from a business anymore. We know to solve the problem. So that's when you reach this situation in which you know there are things I can do to solve the problem. You've earned it. And now you know to do it. And the young man knows, you know what? I crawled and was cut on the stone for many miles before I knew I could speak to the ground. And that happens after I spoken to the bush. It took me miles to even talk to ask the ground if it could speak. Now I'm letting learn. This mud must be speaking also. You know, so he's earned that. Now he speaks to the mud. And that's what we need to do. You know, you earn it, and when you speak to it.
You know, something that is striking me right now is, as I think about this story, that I really only encountered today, in fact. You know, if you go back to phase 1, where you have unconscious incompetence, you don't know anything. I only ever saw that picture as something negative. You know, it's only going to come in the form of slaps. You don't know this is going to come. So the obstacles, you don't know the obstacles ahead of you. That's really the only way that I ever thought about this. But it occurs to me that along the journey, you also don't know some of the shortcuts. You also don't know some of the eases, some of the gifts that the power that be, God in our case, obviously, but the instances of mercy, where He will just open a path for you, where He will allow for a particular benefit to scream at you in the face, hey, I'm here, just use me. It makes your life easy. And in a way, you have to have been tested some to validate your resolve, to really prove that, okay, I'm serious about this. And as you go along the way, some doors open up, some systems of advantage are revealed to you that also you did not know existed. So there's a version of these 4 steps along the way at each turn, kind of, you know. Somebody may already be well down on his journey, and then he encounters an obstacle down the way. You're already well into stage 3, for example.
Yes.
And you're like, man, okay, I've undergone so much difficulty, and there's more. How far does it end? And somebody may also stop there. You know, though most people quit at level 2, people still quit at all the other levels as well. And along the way, you don't only have obstacles that you did not anticipate, but you also have advantages. So things that make your life easier that you did not know about in the beginning. That just hit me right now. I'm like, that is very true. That is very true. How often you will just meet somebody randomly. You may have a conversation on the bus with somebody.
Changes everything.
Yes. Gives you a small idea. Or a random short on YouTube, or a random video on YouTube. It's like,
And then,
wow.
oh my God, lights comes on.
Our cameras were too far away. It's unsightly for people. They don't like to see that. It looks unprofessional.
We had a wall right next to our face.
How do you even learn that without somebody
going to school for it and
Yes.
knowing? How do you know that it's a problem to even to pursue? It's true.
Yes. So the journey is filled with obstacles that sound like to each other.
Yes.
But it's also equally or more filled with a whole lot of seasons of respite, of breathing, of sighing, and of being encouraged along the way. So yeah, that is very true. That is very true. And also the piece at stage 2 where the blind boy, he has that incredible advantage, as you mentioned, to not have to see the whole mountain, which is a mistake that I made too many times.
Which is the I was making currently.
It's overwhelming.
Yes.
If you look at the whole task ahead without only focusing on what is in front of you, because that's really all you can control right now. And it is impossible, that one I've come to know, it is impossible for you to know exactly the path up and up. You don't know.
And you know, I wrote that in the story, in a way. How would you have guessed that Thorns speak and can speed the way for you? That is quite literally a similar what's happening in life. As you're working this, you will never know the gate, ever. You'll be working on this one and figuring it out that, oh my goodness gracious, my market is all people. And things that you can expect, you'll never know. You will never know that you could speak to the ground and as you're trying to climb a steep mountain, you'll think of a lot of things. Maybe I need a rope. Maybe I need somebody to bring an escalator for me here. Your mind will go everywhere. And then eventually you find out, oh wait, I can speak to this ground and it will shape himself into stairs for me.
And that is a good picture too.
Yes.
Because imagine that person who,
Yeah.
you've looked at the mountain, and before you start climbing, you know what, you said, you know what, I'm gonna wear a 100-pound bag. I'll put the ropes in it, I'll put the ladders in it, I'll put this in it.
The mountain is laughing. It's like, why is this person doing this?
By doing all those things that you think you're preparing for the journey, making it easier for you.
You are making actually
end
life
up-
harder.
Yes.
Now you're carrying everything, and then you look at your side, there is all the men the ground is telling you to steps for him. You're like, how are you doing that? And that is blessing, because in that situation you've been suffering for a while. The other men tell you, oh, are you crazy? Just talk to the ground and ask it for steps. What are we doing? And then he can see you walking. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, that's what it takes?
Yeah.
Yes, but you have to earn that information.
You do have to earn it. You do
Yes.
have to earn it. You do have to carry out it. You do have to handle whatever is in front of you with the highest level of care and diligence that you can.
Yes.
And that very act is really all that you can control. All that is on your shoulders.
Yes.
Because the next step will inevitably reveal itself when you're ready.
Yeah.
So that right there is the third stage, the stage of conscious competence. And again, I remind you again, right here, you're consciously competent. That means that unless you can think through it, you cannot do it.
Yes.
You have to be fully aware of what you're doing. You have to, to know, okay, I must do this, I must do that. You're not yet at the phase 4. The phase 4, which is unconscious competence. Right here, this is the epitome. This is the 10,000-hour rule. I think it's being refuted or rejected.
By whom?
Scientists. It's Malcolm Gladwell is the one who's credited with the 10,000-hour rule in order for you to attain mastery of anything. 10,000 hours, which is roughly 20 years, I think, something like that, full time. But it seems, according to some, that number is too arbitrary. It can be a little longer, a little less for other people, depending on whatever it is. But anyway, it's just a nice number, nice round number. I think it's more about conveying an idea rather than exactitude of numbers.
Yeah.
So, at this stage of unconscious competence, now you are a master. Now you can operate in your sleep. As I was thinking about that, I was wondering, are there things where the vast majority of us have attained unconscious competence on? The one that I can think of was driving. You
Yes.
know, if seated here, all of a sudden I see a lion, huge mane, hungry, running at us, and I have enough time to make it to the car, I think I could. I guess in the movies you get to the car, you're fumbling the keys, and all those things. But
if you're in the car, you'll be able to
I
drive.
believe I could drive under pressure, under
Yes.
the direst kind of pressure.
Yes.
So in that case, I've attained unconscious competence. But there is no way you put a piano in front of me right now, I can even play a simple scale. I couldn't, because fear would have taken over so much, and I have not attained the level of unconscious competence with the piano. But that is the level that we most aim to. In
Yes.
our story, I'm assuming, and I want you to get
No,
your point of view on this one.
I want you to tell us where you find it.
This phase corresponds to the ultimate goal. What people picture at the beginning of the journey, that I can do this, I can sound like Ludovico, not knowing that the brother's going through all these stages over the years.
Yeah.
This is becoming the healer. Getting that information. You get that information at the end and you're able to come back and be able to perform.
Yes.
Perform for people under any kind of circumstance.
Yes.
This is the epitome there. You become unconsciously competent. Do you view it like that or differently?
Yes, very interesting. I'm glad that you clocked it, because think of how do you become the healer? You become the healer because you've gone through a journey, and then what's happened? There is a great spirit that downloads information in you. It's like a stage of creation. That information becomes now part of you. It's not something that you hold, something that you have to memorize, write on books. No, you don't have to repeat anything. You've done the journey, you've suffered already. Now you've met the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit now imparts you the information. He's now part of you. So when you go in the village, when somebody comes with you with a burn or a snake bite, you don't have to think about what do I do. Why? Because you know. It doesn't matter if you're being chased by a lion or by a crocodile. You just know. It's part of you. It's been added on you like an extra limb, like breathing. So yes, it is accomplishing in the healer stage. You know, and it's something that we should also all aspire to, but we have to understand what it takes to get there. It takes that journey to get there. You know, and there is good people on top of that mountain. You know, you come up, you go there
Even
and
more
blind.
than you expect.
Yes,
Yeah,
more than
that's
you
a good
expect.
touch. Yes.
You go there blind, you get the information. I'm gonna return a blind person, and I have so much, but then all of a sudden your eyes open in a way that you couldn't explain. Light enters your eyes for the first time. For those who know who light is, you know who light is. Yeah, and this is done from living water gushing from the belly of something. Those who know that is, they know that is, and they know the Great Spirit is. And they've read about mud put on the eyes before, and the blood being part of it, they understand what it is. But it is essentially the goal to be unconsciously competent, to become the healer, the whole man. Because you are so comfortable, now you're at a stage where the best you can do for the world is share your wisdom with others. You know?
Indeed.
And though you cannot tell them the steps, because that is the rules of the game. Strict rules. You cannot tell them the information, you can't. They have to go through that journey themselves so it can be downloaded in them. But you can inform them, you know what? My advantage was that I couldn't see the mountain. Maybe there is a young wise man, young man who's gonna close his own eyes. You know, who knows? But you've at least given them some wisdom at the end. And that is what we want to be at the end of the day.
And honestly, I find a lot of room for gratitude. The story has insists on gratitude quite a bit, which I thought that was a really nice touch.
I wanted to. I thought you'd be angry with me if I started talking about attitude when it's not the subject of the day.
No, that's really important along the way to, if you can manage to keep the perspective of gratitude with you, it makes the journey that much easier. Because gratitude is one, we had an entire episode on gratitude.
Yes.
It's one of those forces or entities that make you feel like you already have. It makes you feel like you have all that you need. In fact, you shouldn't even have it, but you have it. So you're so grateful. How can you squander this opportunity that you have? And going from one stage to the next, looking back and realizing, man, I know more than I did before. I'm better than I was yesterday.
Yes.
Being happy about that, grateful for that.
Yes.
Because you're not owed anything. You could have died at first one, you could have died at first two, you know, at phase two. But here you are, finding ways to be grateful, finding ways to appreciate how far you come in the journey, which I'm not always able to. It takes, you know, Christian, it takes my close circle to remind me at times, you know what? We're not where we were. We're not as clueless as we were. We were still clueless quite a bit about a lot of things, but we've
not anymore.
We've learned enough to, at the very least, go to the next phase and continue going on. And at some point, you'll make it to the top of the mountain. You'll become the healer that you're trying to be.
You know, and gratitude in this story is a key, but it's one of those subdued keys that you have to look for. But it's literally a key. Almost gratitude is what triggers every other step. The first thing that came to me in this tale was the idea of the healer. It was the idea of the healer and the idea of the journey. The first two things that came to me. And you realize that how would the young man felt? What is the primary emotion after he's been restrained for so long? Others go to test their mentors. Others go for opportunities. You know, and finally he gets the opportunity. What's the primary emotion within those situations? And my guess was his gratitude. And you'd hear young men say, I'm so grateful to be here. Just to be here to get my chance to show my mentor. So gratitude is a key that puts him on the journey. And then when he reaches the mountains and he's going to the ground, he has to express gratitude to his host. And that is the next key that opens up the ground's changing for him to give him steps. You know?
And that can be viewed in so many aspects of life.
Yes.
Even at your job right now, you who watching this, if you have a job, if your direct supervisor
Yes.
sees that you're somebody who's grateful, somebody who genuinely is not belittling the opportunity, even if it's, I don't know, you're working a really hard job at a warehouse and you're on your feet the whole time.
Yeah.
But if you're that person who, unlike everybody else who's frowning, but you can at least be grateful for the fact that, you know what, I pay my rent because of this, I pay my bills because of this, and it shows in your actions.
Yes.
And that right there is really an open door.
Yeah. Because
Why would you want, yes.
Gratitude regulates behavior.
I agree
You know,
with that.
when you are grateful, you behave as a grateful person behave. You have more respect for what you have. You know, and that's why you remember in the story, the reason why the ground has become jagged and become steep and grow thorns on it is because people that are working before there were not grateful. So they're working in a certain way. They're stepping on the hose, maybe peeing on the hose,
Throwing trash.
on the hose. The hose is like, no, enough. You're not getting this. But when you're grateful that this hose is carrying you, now I'm not going to step any other way, every other way. You're stepping in a certain way.
I'll take care of it.
I'll take care of it.
Because it is taking
Yes.
care of me as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then that happens at your job as well. When, you know, most of your jobs, what you do not know, they are the dreams of somebody else.
Yes.
You know, and I know how it feels to me when I see somebody who works for me taking care of my dream. It's so endearing. I want them to succeed in every way possible. As a matter of fact, I want to keep him around as much as possible.
To give them more authority.
Everything, yes. Because they understand this is my dream. And they're treating him out like I would treat it. Just for money. I'm so grateful for that. Guess what? Now I treat them differently also. Because I'm grateful for that.
Of course. This game is not
yes.
It's not an egalitarian.
Yes. So gratitude is a key.
Yeah.
And at the end of, and it's a key that goes both ways. At the end of the story, something that I wanted to know the story word is after all these years of being treated badly by humans, the soil, the ground itself, was so grateful for this young man, for the proper treatment he showed him. He decided you get an extra gift. So I'm going to take the blood that you bled on me, and I'm going to use it with his essence, you know, and I'm going to give you part of my living waters, and I'm going to give you back your sight. You came here wanting to do something. I'm giving you something that you need, something that you didn't even know it was possible to happen to you. And honestly, that what happens in real life when you truly work with gratitude and work hard is things you receive things that you couldn't have imagined could happen to you.
Factual.
And it is critical. So it's critical of a key in this story, as gratitude. And also looking at suffering differently. And this question that we go through suffering, and suffering seems so pointless for most of us. Sometimes it seems like just cruelty of the universe. You know, pointless. Why? I mean, if I'm suffering because I'm running and getting in shape until I'm getting in shape, why am I suffering in this manner? It makes no sense. And it's been a question I've been asked. Actually, you're the one who brought this question to me, to be honest. And I've been thinking about it quite a bit. And my conclusion is, it's leading you to listen to something. You know, they grow respect to you. And you'll come to cherish that suffering in a way that you cannot expect.
Just like physical pain.
Yeah.
You know, pain is simply just a mechanism for you to stop and to listen to whatever it is your body is telling you, so you can go address it.
Yeah.
Because if left unaddressed, it worsens.
Yes.
It gets worse, it gets more painful, or the pain travels to another area, things get worse. So pain is necessary. It is necessary. I know people have heard that before, and you know it sounds trite and you know, motivational speech, basically. But it is very true. It's very hard for you to learn away from pain, away from a stimulus that forces you to slow down and to readjust and to reassess. Yeah. So there goes the 4 levels of learning, the 4 stages of learning. You go from not knowing what you don't even know, unconscious incompetence, and then you begin to know what you don't know, conscious incompetence. And by working at it, by deciding that I'm not going to quit, I'm not going to, pull the plug because this is quote unquote not for me, you earn the privilege of getting to the point where you are consciously competent, where now you can perform. But you're not fully freed from the shackles of life because your emotional state is still very, very prevalent on you, very heavy on you.
Yeah.
Because fear can cripple you, anxiety can render you useless essentially at that moment. And then you reach the ultimate goal that you want to get to, which is unconscious competence, where you can perform blindfolded, where you can climb a mountain blind, where you can really be of service. You can contribute in the way that you intended at the beginning of the journey. So that is that. The last thing that I want to share with you guys, which was life-altering for me, life-changing for me, is one of the main vehicles or driving forces that facilitate this learning, makes the climb of the mountain quicker, easier. If for that reason alone, this is worth listening to. And this is frustration. As we said, at stage 2, the stage of conscious incompetence, now you know what you have to face. Now you know, at least you think you know, because there's more behind it. But then you have a good idea of how much work you have to put.
Yes.
So at that phase, most people quit. And it is a monumental mistake, because at this stage 2, you're faced with the highest amount of uncertainty, the highest amount of intimidation, the highest amount of fear, the highest amount of frustration. All these quote unquote negative emotions hit you all at once.
Yeah.
Right? Most people quit here. But the brain functions in such a way that which you do repeatedly creates a path in your mind, a neural network, essentially. And if you continue down a certain habit, that path gets more and more cemented. It reminds me of, at our house we have a tree in the backyard, and around the tree we had grass, grass with a good bit of weeds in it. We had, let's just call it grass. We had grass around the tree, and we welcomed into our home this puppy 6 months ago. My wife knows their ages more than I. Let's say 6 months ago. His name is Rudy. And he has this weird fascination about running around the tree. So he and our other dog, Spartan, they like to chase each other around the tree. They run. And after a while, I noticed that a path started to form. The grass around the tree started to die. And the more he kept doing it, the more the path became wider and clearer. You can see clearly that there was grass, and yet there was this round little path around the tree, this track. So the brain works like that. The more you do something, the more the path is cemented. And you can walk that path blind if you've done it long enough and you become unconsciously competent. So because that is how the brain works, you can speed up that process even faster by doing something quite important, by producing more myelin into your brain.
Yes.
What is that anyway? As a kid, I used to assume that the bigger brains meant more aptitude, more intelligence. But it's really not the case.
Most kids think so.
It turns out because the brain is an electric input-output kind of machine.
Yeah.
You want the signals to travel as fast as possible, and it turns out that the neurons are coated with, the axons are coated with this substance called myelin. It's like an insulator. It allows for signals to travel faster. And I remember those days in physiology, good days. But if somebody has more myelin, it means that the signal can travel much faster without losing any of it. Just like the reason why you have insulation on your wires, or your copper wires for electricity. So that myelin that I'm talking about builds the fastest at the moments of frustration. If you begin a journey of learning, and when you met at that phase 2 with the highest amount of frustration, you decide somehow to go through it, to take it one step at a time, and to continue pushing through it. You're frustrated, you want to quit, you want to stop, but you continue going through it. And then you're building myelin at that level.
Yes.
You're building. So these days, when I engage in learning, when I'm learning pickleball is maybe the thing that I'm learning the most, like fun/learning, but to me it's hard to separate the two anyway. So in pickleball, every now and then you get met with, you face somebody who is far better than you. It's incredibly frustrating. And because they're better than you, they can detect your weaknesses quick. Let's say your backhand is not good enough, and they keep targeting that backhand. Keep targeting. It causes a level of
You
frustration.
better get good
feel
on the
it.
backhand.
You feel the frustration.
You know what's going on.
Yes.
And you can't do anything about it.
And the guy is also smart, nice guy. I like the nice ones. He's
Yes.
nice, he's smiling, he knows what he's doing, and he also knows, that's the advantage of having somebody who's a little further along on the mountain. He knows you need this young fella. This is a
Yes.
gift for you. You don't realize this frustration that I'm putting on you is actually a gift that will help you.
I've been there myself.
So, yeah, that frustration, staying with it. And after a while,
All of a sudden, you can return them.
yes, I can return. And the guy smiles. It's kind of like a fatherly moment.
It's
He's
like-
proud of you.
Well, yeah.
But the point is simple. At the moment of frustration, you have to do the very opposite thing that you want to do. You do not quit, you do not stop. You
Yes.
continue pushing forward because you are building more myelin. You're basically, it's as if each pain point is actually a catalyst for more growth.
For more acceleration.
Wow, what a system. What would God have made it like this, but it's wonderful. The price that you get for suffering through a season is speed. So it's exponential. Things go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster.
You get information.
Yes.
And then something major happens that accelerates the affair.
Yes.
So first you're crawling, you're cutting yourself. And then eventually you speak to the ground. And then, the thorns open. So you go and you're going fast, you figure out you're feeling good. This is much faster than I was going before. You're even grateful. But then that gratitude still in energy, you're like, you know what? Why is the grind this hard? Now you learn from that, wait, it can be stairs. Now you even go faster.
Yes.
It's just pain, you stay with it.
Boom, faster.
Yes.
You've earned it. Yeah, that's it really. That's it. I don't know if you have anything left to share with the people.
No,
before we
people.
conclude this conversation.
Now, this is the end of the conversation. We really are enjoying doing these things. We are discovering how to do them better. And we want to have more resources to do it even better so you may enjoy it more, learn. We want this to be things that you can be with more, you can be entertained and learn something and enjoy yourself while you are growing. And this is done by us, B.E.F, Brothers Enjoying in this favor. And we want you to subscribe, to like, because it helps us grow. And we will see you next time.